Okay. Well, welcome to class today. Ken is going to be my assistant teacher as he is in real life. I got a cold traveling, so fantastic. And it's going to rain here. It is not sunny today, so it is not a fantastic Monday, but that's okay. It makes us appreciate those good days. Basically today, and this goes exactly with kind of my little trip to Barcelona this past weekend, sightseeing. We're going to talk about different places, when you go sightseeing. Now, this could be a business trip. This could be any kind of trip, a personal trip. So it doesn't really matter. It's just good to have the vocabulary, because if you don't know what to say when you get to the town, you're like, oh yeah, I want to see things. Okay, well, what do you want to see? Well, I want to go sightseeing. And actually, let's start with that. It's to go sightseeing. The verb also is to sight see. So it's kind of complicated. It's obviously a very long word. Sight see in general. Sight means your vision, and see also means to see. So it's kind of a repetitive word, I think. But basically, sightseeing means that you're going to go around and visit the monuments, the landmarks. You're going to see important things, views. It just depends on where you're going. Okay. So what I want to do today, and like I said, Ken is going to be my little helper. I do want to mention this was going slow before, and it wasn't really working. So we'll see how this goes, because if I can't do the presentation, then we're going to have some problems. So let's just get this. There is perfect. Like I said, it was going slow. I think my husband ran the antivirus thing. I don't know what happened. It ended super late. It ended after me going to bed. So I don't know what happened actually, and I didn't ask. But anyway, if something happens, we're prepared to talk about trips or something like that. So I'd also like to say hello to the viewer who's viewing. I don't know who it is or where you are, but thank you for joining. So Ken, basically what I want you to do is just read city sites and what's on this slide, okay?
Okay. City sites. When you are a tourist in another city, you can see or do many things when sightseeing. A guide, a zoo, a museum, a castle, an amusement park, a bridge.
Good. And hopefully you can see all these pictures. Can you see all of the pictures?
Yes.
Okay.
I see.
Okay, good. Because for me, the bridge, I don't see all of the picture because your picture is on top of it. So I just want to be sure that everyone else can see that as well. So great. Yes, these are typical things that you can do. You can go on a guide or go for a tour. And that's kind of the main thing, is if you go on a tour guide, or have a guide for you and whoever you're traveling with or alone, they will show you these important things. So city sites. Do you have any questions about this?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Well, that's okay. And so, a place, maybe a city has many different museums, and things like that. Maybe they have things dedicated more towards children, like here it's a zoo or an amusement park. My most favorite zoo I've ever been to is in Buenos Aires, Argentina. It was incredible. I think maybe because I was like an adult when I went and I could appreciate it, but I also think about animal rights, and there's a 50-50 thing there. So anyway, maybe if we have time, we can talk about that. It could be a little debate. Via castles, there's lots of castles here in Spain, which is fantastic. Amusement parks, special things that make the city different or unique. Ken, do you have any questions or comments?
Maybe I saw some picture of Barcelona. some building there is a bit distinct with style. Is it
Yeah.
in Barcelona or what does it call?
Yeah, well, it is. Well, it's actually the artist who did the buildings. And his last name is Gaudi,
Mm-hmm.
and he designed, for example, La Sagrada Familia. It's a very famous church
Mm-hmm.
that they're building. It actually will be finished in 2026, 100 years after he died.
Mm-hmm.
I think it said it was they started building in 1886, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it's one of the most famous monuments there. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
it's not even finished. I saw it probably 12 years ago for the first time, and it's incredible to see the difference. I've seen it multiple times since, and obviously every time I go, it's quite different.
I
Um,
see.
yeah, there are some buildings. There's the Casa Batlló, Casa Mila. Um, there's another one, Plau Güell, and there's also a Park Güell. And Güell was a different person, and I can't remember much of the history about him, but they worked together on a
Mm-hmm.
project. And Park Güell is actually it's just that it's a park, and he had designed it to kind of for like the rich people of the town, and so they could have this like magical fantasy land area to just play in.
Mm-hmm.
He actually named it Park in English to kind of represent like the British something. I don't remember if it was
Mm-hmm. I see.
the people in the area or something like that. But yeah, there's some very unique buildings there because of him. Antoni Gaudi is his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Actually, it's
yes.
similar, somewhat similar to one Japanese animator's, building or world. Maybe he mimicked, the style of that such an architect in Barcelona. That was my feeling about it.
Well, I think he died in 1926. So I don't know about the timeline about
But
that.
but everyone can see that. It's
Hmm.
famous. Yeah, so
Yeah,
maybe he
exactly.
have been there. Yeah.
No,
So
everything's round, and it's very
right, right.
amazing because
It's straight on. Yes. Right.
cement or brick or ceramics. It's hard pieces of material, and yet it looks so soft and so movable, and you can see the movement. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
really incredible. I really enjoyed that. Like I said, I've seen it before, but I went with my husband. It was his first time, and so he got to see these things and discover them. So
So only in Barcelona, it's not a Spanish traditional thing, probably. That's a kind of artistic architecture there.
right. And
Uh,
that's the difference for me between Barcelona and Madrid is that Madrid is more of like a New York, very busy capital, um, things like that. It's kind of a very, I don't want to say dry, but like Barcelona has a very artistic attitude towards it, and that's why I love it.
I see.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, let's go down. We have some other things here that you can read for us, other places. So why don't you go ahead and read those, okay?
Okay. City sites. When you are a tourist in another city, you can see or do many things when sightseeing. A cruise, a square, a port, a cathedral, a park, a palace.
Okay, good. So yes, these are other things that you can do. So you can go on a cruise, maybe if you leave from a city, a square. Can you describe a square?
I think square is usually it's in the city center and the large space in the city center.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And that's one thing that's very popular here in Spain is, the main square of the town. That's where, a lot of things happened. So
Mhm.
yes, very true. Anything else? Trying to look at this picture here of the cathedral.
Right.
I'm just gonna blow this up a little bit. because it actually looks like the Sagrada Familia, but
Yeah.
it has a lot of characteristics, which makes me wonder. Hold on. Yeah, you know what? That is it. Like, so they've taken out all of like the construction things around it. Like things that hold this up. Yeah, this one right here is not completed.
I
So
see.
this is more of like a drawing of what it's going to look, but it's still not complete because there's things over here that are missing. There's a huge other tower here in the middle that's missing. But this is the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, but it's photoshopped or something. Because like I said, this little one isn't done yet, but the other three are.
Kind of computer graphic.
Exactly.
I see.
And this isn't colored yet. These, yes, are colored, but these aren't. So little by little here, we'll get there. I was gonna say that looks like it, but it was just such a small picture.
What is the difference between cathedral and church?
It's kind of a good question. I think it has to do with like the religious maybe purpose. Maybe a church is smaller. But I actually don't know. That's actually a really good question. We'll consult the internet very quickly. Church versus cathedral. Well, of course, then you have a basilica and chapel. Actually, technically in Spanish, this is called the basilica. So I think that's got even more of a difference here. Let's see. House is more for worshiping, so praying and things like that. What is this here? And then a cathedral says it's more for like the bishop and higher up people in the church. So yeah, just it depends on like a church is more for every day, every Sunday kind of things, or every week. Church masses, that's what I'm looking for. So what about a port? Can you explain a port?
Port is a harbor area.
Okay, and I was trying to think, what's the difference between a harbor and a port?
Port is, I think, close to the maybe city. Harbor is maybe bigger, and it's not so close to the city like this picture, probably.
Okay. And I was gonna say a port for me is more business. And a harbor is just maybe the place. Okay, harbors are artificially created, so they're not real things. They're basically the same as a port, it says. They have different purposes. Okay, a harbor, like it said, it was artificial. It's well, it can be natural or man-made. Ports are normally man-made and also bigger that have facilities. And also harbors provide, let's see here, safe anchorage for ships. Okay, so if a ship is having a problem with something, they can stay there. This is this is what I was looking for. Ports are mainly used for loading and unloading ships, so cargo, products, things like that.
So harbor is smaller than port usually. Okay. I thought opposite. So anyway.
Well, and that's okay. I mean,
port is more artificial.
Yeah, it can be it can be natural.
Okay.
But
okay.
Interesting. Yeah, I would say port is more business.
I see.
Like Amsterdam was one of the main ports in Europe many years ago. So good. Well, perfect. Well, I think this is pretty good. The rest of the vocabulary. I'd love to go on a cruise one time. Not yet, but one day. Okay. So good. So now we have some questions here. So in this first picture, first of all, what do you see?
A giraffe,
Okay, good.
maybe kids or yeah, two kids.
Since we don't need to write anywhere, we can look at this a little bit bigger here. Yeah. Okay, good. So where do you think they are?
Park. They're in not park. They're in the zoo. A zoo.
Exactly. Well, it depends what country because I mean parks. In some parts of Africa, I'm sure in some parks there are some giraffes, but in general, don't want to say normally, but giraffes are not in a lot of parts of the world. So I agree with you there. Let me go down to this next picture here. Again, tell me what you see and where you think they are.
Fountain and buildings, and I forgot this wheel. Wheel ride. I forgot
Ferris
this.
wheel?
Ferris. Yeah. Ferris.
The S capital F. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, Ferris wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, some buildings. So it kind of looks like we're in the downtown area. So where do you think they are?
I think it's square.
I would definitely agree with the square. Yeah, and actually, this fountain, excuse me, I'm not sure if it's really a fountain because it's not like the actual fountain, but I'm not sure what you would call this, like a water, like they're not springs either. Hmm, a water park? It's not a water
Yeah.
park either.
Waterford.
Good question. I have no idea. Isn't it funny how you see something and you're like, oh, yeah, that looks great. That's beautiful. And they're like, wait, what is that called? And we don't really know. So I really don't even know what they would call that.
I see. Yeah.
Cool. My English is being tested today. All right, great. And this,
I think it's a palace.
I'm going to agree with that. And this is more of a fountain. The only thing I'm missing here with the fountain is like water coming up from the middle and coming down. But yeah, this is the palace. I was trying to think, is this a Palacio Real in Madrid? And it's not. So it is white, but it's very, very different. All the details and things like that. So good. Let's go down here. Where are they now?
Amusement park.
Okay, what are these called?
Ferry wheels, and I don't know. I see roller coasters.
Okay, yep, there's roller coasters. Good. Is it a Ferry wheel or Ferris wheel?
Ferris wheel. Sorry.
There you go. Good. And I would call these just in general rides. We call those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about saying attraction? Is it correct?
I would say attraction park is what we would say. I mean, this word, there's actually a lot of different ways that we can say it could be a theme park, an amusement park, which we saw earlier. I know in British English they say fun fair, attraction park, attractions in general. I would say these are rides because you ride them, you get on them. Attractions could just be like when you have the bottles and you throw the ball and hopefully win something. That would be more of an attraction, I think. I don't really know the difference. I don't think. Good question. You're really testing my English today, and I don't think I'm mentally prepared for this. So great. All right. Well, if we continue here, what's this?
Oh, also palace? I don't know. Or dormitory? I don't know. What is?
Well, technically, this should be a castle.
Castle.
But it looks
yeah. Okay.
like a palace.
About castle and palace is is more luxurious or gorgeous,
Sure.
probably. Uh-huh. Okay.
A castle was probably used in the past many hundreds of years ago. And a palace is maybe for the king and queen.
Mhm,
Castle. I suppose a castle was also used for nobility, the kings and queens, and their family.
mhm,
Um, but castles are probably more for protection as well. I mean, because they have like, I don't know if they have them here, but in this picture they have like areas, where like this part. Can you see this where it goes up and down and up and down and up and down?
mhm.
This part. This is where they had the people with their arrows, bows and arrows to protect the
Right.
castle during war and things like that.
Mhm,
Um, and I think you're right that palaces are more for luxury and things not used for protection because they're nice, they're beautiful. You don't want them to be in war. So interesting. Lots of good questions. And I thought today was going to be simple.
mhm.
So good. It's always good to be challenged, but not when you're not feeling great. So, all right. And this, what did we say this was?
They're in museum with a guide.
Exactly. Have you ever gone on, like, have you ever had a guide before?
Oh, yes, many times.
And what do you think? Would you recommend a guide to other people if people are going to a different city or town?
Oh, maybe it's short and if you don't have time, and yeah, maybe touring with guide is much shorter. But sometimes guide guides us in unnecessary shopping, shoppings, something. So because maybe
Yeah.
they tie up with yeah, that's what I don't like. But if I don't have much time, yeah, also got more secure actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little safer
Right.
than not. I do agree. Not every time. A lot of the times when my husband and I go to a different city, we will go on a free tour, those in which you pay at the end, but you decide what you pay. And we've had free tours from 1 hour up until 3 hours. And that 3 hour tour is quite long, but that was Amsterdam. Lots to see. We've had other ones, I think in Amsterdam, was it? Yeah, he said, "Oh, hey, there's some great chocolate cookies over there. You can get those, or go over there and see this." So we did have a couple minutes of free time. I think normally you get like
Mhm.
15 or 20 minutes
Mhm.
to kind of sit down, get something to drink, maybe eat something, which is fine. But yeah, it's not like, okay, go spend the next hour doing things on your own and then come back. Like, no, thank you. So I think they're great, especially the free tours. They give you some really good information about, the city or the town and the history and maybe why they do something. And you think, oh, it's just a tradition, but you never think why or how it started. So, so very good. So yeah, I think that's great. I didn't do it in Barcelona as we only had a little bit of time, but that's fine. So what about this place? Where are
Mm,
we now?
it seems like also the museum, but I'm not sure. It could be patio. Patio. I
Okay,
think.
well, it could be in a museum. This is a museum. The other one was a guide, even though yes, they were in a museum as well. So when you travel, what kind of museums do you like to go to?
Hmm. Sorry. What did you say?
What kind of museums do you like to go to?
Mm, okay. I don't know. Maybe the uh, modern art museum. Yeah,
Okay,
like
perfect.
in New York, MoMA.
Mm-hmm.
MoMA.
Yep, the
Yeah,
MoMA.
yeah.
I went to the MACBA in Barcelona this past weekend.
Nice.
It was amazing. I had a great time. I knew have I now have kind of a new favorite artist, or an artist that I'd like to look into about now, which is fantastic. So it was a really great experience. Um, yeah, I like museums. There's a lot of different museums
Mhm.
that you can visit. There's, the historical ones are nice, but to me they get redundant. When you see like 5 historical museums or something, or historical paintings or something, it's like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that before. Um, but I mean, the modern art, the contemporary art ones, I really, really enjoy, and my husband does as well. So that's nice that we share that.
I wanted to go to the John Lennon's museum in close to Tokyo, but I've never been there.
Wow. How far do you live from Tokyo?
It's 1.5 hour by train. Not train. By plane. Sorry.
Oh, so not that close.
Yes, not so.
Well, and actually, I heard that the fastest train is in Japan. The fastest. It goes like 600
Right.
miles per hour or something.
Yeah, maybe the peak of the speed is the sound speed or more than sound speed.
Wow, isn't that
That's right.
crazy?
But it's very smooth. It runs very smoothly.
Well, that's scary. I mean, to go that fast. So you've ridden on it.
Yeah, because it's kind of main route connect to Japanese main cities. So,
Mm-hmm.
but if I get on that train, even though it is fast, it takes maybe five hour more to Tokyo. So,
Because it
so
stops in
yeah,
different places.
stops also distance. Probably yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe stop. It doesn't stop so many train station. Just the main kind of
Mm-hmm.
uh main towns, hub cities only stops in hub city in their area.
Right.
Even though it takes such long hours, so I prefer take get on the train. Not plane. Sorry, if I go to Tokyo from here.
Okay. Because no, I read it not that long ago, and I was like, wow, because there's a fast speed train here in Spain too, but it's not as fast as the one in Japan. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Maybe
So
my friends have gotten that train. He talked about that.
crazy. Okay. Well, good. Perfect. So let's continue down to this. This is a bridge. Do we know where this bridge is?
I think it's Key West, Florida.
Oh,
No,
really? I actually didn't even know. Have you been?
no, I want to, but no.
Well, I was in Florida, but not that far down. So the last time I was well, when I was 10, I went to Disney. I can't remember if it's Disneyland or World. I never remember, but the one in Florida, in Orlando. So I think that was the furthest south I've been, which is still, that's like in the middle of the state. So good. Yeah, bridges. So important bridges here. And actually, if you look up Ronda,
Mhm.
let me wonder if I can put a picture into the chat box. Let me try that. I'm hoping that on the putting a picture, looking for this doesn't. I don't have a problem with images. The internet copy. Hopefully this works because it. Oh no! Wait, I can't copy the picture. I have to copy the link to it. But I don't know if you've ever seen this. All right, back to this, paste. Okay, so if you open that in a different spot, you'll see the bridge, the famous bridge here.
Mhm.
And it's like literally 10 minutes from my house walking. So, um, it's pretty cool. It's called the New Bridge. It was built in, I think, the 1700s because there's an old bridge that was built before that, but so yeah, so that's the famous bridge here, and that's why Ronda is famous in the south. And that's it. So do you see the picture?
Ah, yes,
Okay,
I see the picture.
perfect. Yep, it's huge as well, like 700 feet, I think.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think the Google changed its system. Yeah, there's
Oh,
no direct link for the picture now. I read the article the other day. Maybe someone claimed the copyright of the picture, so they changed. They erased the direct link to the picture from the search results.
okay. Well, if you look up Ronda El Tajo, which I've put into the chat box, you should see it. That's the
Right.
name of the bridge here. So, perfect. Moving on, we have this. What was this?
It's a port.
It is a port. And why are ports important?
Especially in the past, or even now, it's how can I say? It's important for import and export goods.
Exactly. No, that's perfectly correct. Ports are important now again because the importation, excuse me, and exportation of products. If it's cheaper to sail by boat or to go by boat to a place. So yeah, that's very true. It's a very pretty port. And let's see what our next surprise is here. Oh yes, this is technically this is Basilica, but
Mm.
the Sagrada Familia, the cathedral. We discussed that earlier, so I think that's fine. What about this?
The square.
Do you know where they are?
Somewhere in Europe. Somewhere in Europe.
If I'm correct, I think this is London, the Trafalgar Square. I can never
Huh?
pronounce the word.
I see. Yeah.
I
Traf
think.
yeah, Trafalgar. Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
know that. Yeah. The name,
Because
yes.
behind this picture, I mean, where the person is standing taking this picture, behind them should be, I think it's the National Gallery, one of those, or the British Museum. I don't remember which one.
Mm.
But yeah, have you ever been to London?
No, I've never been to Europe, so I want
Ah,
to
one day, one day. Yes,
one
yes,
day.
yes.
Yes.
Well, all the museums in London are free, so that's one good thing.
Mhm.
All right, and this. Where are we here in this picture?
Cruise. I see the cruise ship.
Okay, good. And have you ever been on a cruise?
I just got on a ferry boat. Not big like this, but not luxurious like cruise ship.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've been on ferries before. I've never been on a cruise, and I would like to go one day. And actually from Barcelona, in the port of Barcelona, there are lots of cruises. So yeah, that's fantastic. I don't know where this one is. That bridge doesn't look familiar to me. So,
Me neither. I don't know where.
well, that's okay. So why don't I think if I go out, there we go. Okay, so good. So more vocabulary here. Which city sites word belongs in the gap? Well, in the gap or after? Well, what's the answer? We'll say a place where you can see animals, a zoo or a cathedral. What do you think?
Zoo.
Definitely. Okay. A person who shows you around the city.
Guide.
Good. And you go for a tour with a tour guide around the city.
Mhm.
A green area, a theater or a park?
Park.
Have you ever been to a famous park?
Famous park.
Yeah.
Oh, Osaka Castle Park. I've been to. It's
Okay.
a yeah, it's large. Also, I saw Mick Jagger there
Ah, okay.
for the concert. There's beside the castle, there's a big concert hall. Yes, so I went Osaka to see Mick Jagger. Yes.
All right, interesting. That was not expected. Well, I've been to Central Park a couple different times, and Hyde Park in London, Retiro Park in Madrid.
Mhm.
I don't know, general parks. So let's see. So which city site's word belongs in the gap? Okay, again, so a place with a lot of people watching something, a bridge or a theater. Oops, oops, oops,
The-
oops, oops. Sorry. And you're looking at everything we're going to see. Okay, yes, a theater. That's true, but could a bridge work in this case?
I'm pleased with a lot of people watching some in a very special occasion only, like fireworks or something.
Ah, well, I mean, people watching the boats, maybe, or
Mhm.
something. I don't know. I mean, I think a bridge could there's some meaning there. You could make it have meaning, but yeah, no, in general, theater, yes, is the correct answer. What do you see at the theater normally when you go to
Uh,
the theater? Because the theater is different from the cinema, right?
right. Mhm.
So talk to me about the differences.
Theater is usually live play or live concert. That's a theater.
Mm-hmm. That's yeah, and I would agree with that. Or even a musical.
Right.
Perfect. All right. And actually, in American English, cinema is called a movie theater, but we do spell it differently as
Mhm.
well. It's ER at the end. Movie theater. Um, so it is quite confusing if I say, "Oh, I'm going to the theater," where you see a play,
Mhm.
um, or a movie theater. I'm trying to think what would say theater as well. Okay, good. So, how about a place of royalty?
Palace,
Good. And why do you say that?
because cruise is a ship, not the house. I mean, residential house.
A residential house? Okay, sure. Yeah, no, that's true. No, and normally, yes, of course, royalty, the royal family will live in a palace. So that's
Mhm.
fine. All right. And a building with a lot of history.
Cathedral.
Obviously, because a port, I shouldn't say obviously, sorry. But
Mhm.
yes, because a port is something else. And a cathedral is actually a building. A port is not a building. So
Right.
perfect. And our last questions here, a place with artifacts and history.
Museum.
Museum, yep, because what do well, wait. What kind of museums are there in the world?
A lot of different museums are available in the world, I guess. So
Mhm. Yeah.
basically, originally it started maybe as an art museum, but nowadays a lot of different museums
There's
are
history
available.
museums as well. Actually, some of
Right.
the fun museums that my husband and I have gone to
Mhm.
are like the science museums for kids. Those are
Mhm.
actually really fun. Like you learn stuff too. And I think now that we're at an older age and you can
Mhm.
appreciate those things. When you're younger, you think it's cool, but you don't really understand why.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like going back to the basics. And so we really enjoy those.
Yeah.
Yep, art museums, history museums, lots of different things. And then number 11 says a place where people go for fun, especially children.
Amusement park.
That is correct because we have what there? What do we find there?
Ride, a lot of rides, fun rides.
Exactly, fun rides. Well, there are amusement parks for adults as well. Um, so I'm going to kind of slightly disagree with this statement and say where people
Yeah,
can go for fun.
many couples also go there. Yeah.
Well, and there are some cases where children are too short or too young to go on the ride and things like that. So, yeah, exactly. Well, perfect. Well, I think this is me. Oh, yes. No, this is not the same. So, before I was talking about a zoo. So I'm just going to get closer to this picture and I'd like to discuss with you. Um, do you think zoos are good or bad and why? And I'm going to contradict whatever you say. So,
I think traditional zoo is not good for animals, but they need to keep, to take care of the rare species, maybe to prevent from extinct. So also, even though the zoo, this some type of zoo is like this, not there's no cage or such kind of zoo is better than small cage zoo, but I think the animal stress out a lot inside the cage or small space, so it's not good for facility for animals in general. So maybe there's a debate is happening in the world. So maybe in the future, do be changed more, maybe more kind of research based, or
mhm,
maybe I mean, preservation act based too, probably.
okay. Well, actually, I do agree with that as well. I do think they're good and bad. I think that everyone should treat the animals obviously with respect. I'm not like this super animal activist, but I believe that animals should be treated fairly, obviously. And just because people think they're animals, they don't have feelings. Well, they do. Um, so we need to be careful on how we treat them. And you're absolutely right. I think zoos like this one shown in the picture are actually kind of okay. Like you said, more of a preservation site and not where they're in cages locked up, because in some places they're treated poorly in that case, and that's not good either. So if they have kind of these, if they build their kind of natural habitat in this place, sure, then that's good for them and they can kind of live a normal life within captivity. So there's, pluses and minuses here. I think you're also right about, preserving them so they don't become extinct, because if they become extinct, then they're not around anymore and no one will know about them eventually. So I think it completely depends, but in general, I'm 50-50 on this. Like it's not one side more than the other. I think they're good and I also think they're bad. I shouldn't say bad, but there are positive and negative consequences that
Mhm.
comes from zoos. So, yeah, good. Well, any other questions or comments about zoos in general?
Those in general. The kind of style of not the zoo, aquarium.
Yeah.
Uh, so also aquarium is changing
Mhm.
too, like as well as zoos. Yeah, but maybe yeah, kind of it's for the show, for the attraction. They need to show the animal in a funny way, but because of that, they were captured or they were trained. So it's kind of circus and zoo are
Yeah.
now in big debate in the world. I've read some
Right.
article. Yeah.
No, I would definitely agree with that, and I know that they're gonna have circuses without animals, and I'm like, a circus without an animal? But sure, of course, there's other things that they do with dances and things like that, different tricks, the tightrope. So I think
Hmm.
they can do it, um, but it's still obviously not the same as a normal circus from what we know of as children.
Hmm.
But I think, the world is changing and like there's a huge situation, I should say, with bullfighting here in Spain. And it's the same idea. There's animal activists versus people who are very traditional. It's a tradition, it's part of their culture. And so you can't say something's wrong with that, but at the same time you can still protect the animals, the bulls. So it's quite interesting. Everything that has to do with animals and shows and things like that. So,
Maybe culture changes according to time changes.
Well, I think
So,
we understand more. I mean, animals really do have feelings, you know. There's a big thing, right, you know, these
yeah.
days about animals like dogs and their owners. If the owner dies, then the dog, you know, lays by in the cemetery or, you know, something like that.
Mhm.
Whereas you can really tell that animals do have feelings. Or if an animal
Right.
does something bad, they give you their puppy dog eyes, which is what we say. It's like, oh, you know, kind of looks at you.
Mhm.
Dog. It's eyes is what we call that. Like I didn't do anything, but so you know, I think we're just realizing that animals really do have feelings, and which is good. You know, I've got my two cats and the two guinea pigs, and you know, one of the guinea pigs was sick a couple months ago, and you know, you feel like a parent, your heart drops, and you're like, oh gosh, what do I do? I have to go to the vet, and so it's quite intense when one of your babies gets ill, unfortunately. So quite good. Well, perfect. Well, that is about it for today. So I'm just gonna stop the
Mhm.
screen share. I'm glad it worked because I tried it a little bit earlier and it wasn't working fantastic.
Oh,
So
take care. Yeah.
yeah, well, hopefully I'll be better on Wednesday. I'm gonna do my best and vitamins, you know, water, things like that. But next time we're going to be focusing on the differences of with the word will. It doesn't just mean, oh, I'm going to do something in the future, but it means predictions and blah 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 blah. So lots of different things, and so we'll get to know the word will a little bit better next Wednesday. All right,
Mm. Also, time is same time as Monday's class on this Wednesday.
it
In
is.
the okay, the 9. Yeah. Usually
It's
Wednesday's class is 11 p.m. here, but
it should be 11 p.m. So I'll have to talk to Thomas about that.
okay, 11 p.m. Okay,
Yeah,
I got it.
it's the same time as every Wednesday. That hasn't changed. So that's really great that you let me know that. So I'll talk to Thomas. Otherwise, if it's on Intenga, right? Because on Intenga, I think I can
Oh, yeah,
change that one.
English website.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll take a look at that and I'll double check with Thomas then. And that's it. If you want to hold on for just about a second, I'm
Ah,
just gonna
sorry,
stop.
sorry. Maybe date business trip sites. I think 26 chart. You know, when Wednesday's class is not shown in the schedule
Okay.
on the yeah date is 26. Next Monday's class is
No, well, we have one on the 21st. Okay, well, I'll definitely talk to Thomas about that. I'm gonna stop the broadcast, but Ken, I'm just gonna talk to you for a
okay.
second right now, all right? So everyone who's watching, have a great day. Thanks for watching. The viewer, you're still there. Thanks for still being there. And hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday, okay?
Okay, thank you very
All
much.
right. Bye, everybody.